record. You would have had.
Oh my God! It would have been the entire album. It would have been the entire Rise Up Fred album. It would have been every other scene. It would just Apple's karaoke.
I don't like karaoke in real life. Period. So
You or don't?
I don't.
Don't.
Yeah, I'm not. I just don't know. But so having to be forced to do it, and there was a fairly big group of people there.
I heard. Yeah.
I mean, there was not.
Well, I know there's a big group of people because when I heard about it from the crew that's never actually on set, who decided to show up and see Apple's karaoke. But I know I'm breaking my stuff down because I've got to go watch Jensen
Yeah,
karaoke.
it's not quite as bad as when we have, like if we're at a strip club or any time that there's skinny black women on set, because then all of a sudden the teamsters just show up and they're like, "Let's do coffee and donuts here." No? All right, well, I'm just gonna stay and hang around.
Yeah.
Watch still. What's going on? Who are these people? I was like, wait a minute, why is there a whole row of teamsters in the back of the set? I've never been here before.
It's their job to drive around and
Yeah,
sit
yeah,
there on
yeah.
set, watch it. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, what did you guys think? Y'all and we waited an entire summer for it, so I'm glad you guys did it.
I believe it was, thanks to you guys, the highest rated premiere we've had in 4 years.
The word is spreading, y'all are spreading it, so thank you so much. It looks like y'all keep pulling this. We might have to do a season 11 premiere. We'll be the Walters.
We need more Tim Hortons.
We have to make it until my 40th birthday.
Wait, what?
And then they want us to end? Then y'all want us to end?
Is it usually your 40th birthday?
Dr. Sexy? That episode was on the other day.
Which one?
Changing channels. And I actually watched it. So after the reference to it in the retrospective, which y'all guys get out here, and it was fun, right? I was talking with our sound mixer, Tom Pinchot, and he was talking about the retrospective. He was like, it was great. And I gotta say, Shepard really does come across like charming, huh? I was like, no, it's weird, right? Like it's not the Mark Shepard we're used to, but when you he does it. Like, look at that. He's like pulling his charm out. Put it back in.
I think my favorite was Kirky talking about the Apollo.
Yes.
Hey, 67 Mustang? Yeah, that'd be great. Sure.
Ghostfacer, babe. That was funny. It's funny. It's always funny for me to see Kirky talk about the show. You know, because I don't know if you guys are familiar with the whole backstory.
And Bob, too. He's always like, hey, I told him. Bugs aren't funny. They didn't listen.
Bugs aren't scary.
That's it. Bugs aren't scary.
But Kripke thought of this show, of this premise, I guess while he was in school. And it took like 5 to 10 years to finally get it made. Thank God, because he and I were both on different shows.
And children.
Yeah. Legitimate. So it's neat to see, we've all been involved with the show for 10 years. Kripke's been involved with the show for 20 years. He thought of this idea when he was in school. So it's always kind of neat and humbling to watch this guy help create this world for us to play in. So that was really neat. Before we sit here and jabber about anything and nothing all at once,
That's what we do.
it's what we do. Does anybody want to say anything, yell anything? I see a hand.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey guys.
How are you?
Good, thank you. I just have a question. Between a musical and a Shakespeare, which would you rather do, and why? What scares you more about
What's
the
the
other?
third option?
Shakespeare. Totally Shakespeare. If you get the spirit, you shake it. In fact, and I might have said it before, I don't know, but so my mom teaches Shakespeare. She taught Shakespeare before she retired. And when I was playing Cadrille, I asked if I could kind of play with the lines a little bit and not say this, if I could say the same thing. And I wanted, it's so difficult when they say, hey, you're Sam Winchester. and then you play 45 versions of Sam Winchester. So in interest in trying to keep it different, not when Ezekiel talks, because Ezekiel is still Gadriel pretending to be somebody else, but when Gadriel talks, a lot of my dialogue is in Anakin tenor.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so if you go back and watch, you'll see the cadence is kind of interesting, and a lot of, like, he speaks like Yoda. Shakespearean Yoda. So yeah, I would go Shakespeare.
Cool.
Jensen?
Yeah, I would not go Shakespeare.
Musical!
Yeah. But I wouldn't be happy about either.
I'd be angry.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Who else? There's another line somewhere, I think. Yeah, right here. It's all right.
Yeah, now see, now you gotta talk to the microphone.
You're gonna sound very loud.
I have a question because I know there's no way I'm going to get up and there was mine. Sorry. It's about the show. And it's always kind of bugged me. Now, I'm new to watching the show. I
Him,
watched
his hair, I know, bugs me
No,
too.
no, not bugs me ever.
Then you have,
CPR. Does it not exist in that realm? You would never, like, you'll drag children out of lights and just stand there hoping they fuck up the blood.
listen, Sam and Dean will do a lot, but they won't do CPR. If someone's choking or like demon exorcism,
Yeah, we've been training a lot. We can field dress a wound, gunshot wound, we can do but we just, I guess we would never taught CPR.
It all starts-
So just sitting there, standing, hoping and waiting is the best way to do it.
I think season 5, Sam was doing chest compression and just destroyed somebody. So he was like, all right, no more CPR. So kill him. Dean, we gotta go. That's interesting. That's interesting. I think it would make for an interesting dynamic to see Sam and Dean like CPR in a bunch of children. Dean, you get this one. I haven't brushed my teeth.
The guy and child is gonna mind with a little bad breath.
They might. They're bad. They don't want my dinner. Something just happened over here.
How about, yeah, right there. Pass the mic down. There you go.
Hi guys.
Hi.
Pleasure to meet you. I
Back at
waited
you.
10 years for this, since day one.
Awesome.
We come here every year.
But I can't afford it every year. So it is a great honor. And I just have to correct you and say that, yes, Eric he had this amazing idea, but it's the people that bring it to life. And you guys are absolutely phenomenal in what you do. Movies and whatever, and it was all the right people at all the right time. Like, so Crowley's perfect, you know? And I'm on the side of good, so, but I mean, his character, you know, he brings it to life. But you guys are just, you carry the show, you are the stars, and you make the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And thank you so much.
We wouldn't exist if it weren't for you and y'all, so back at you. Thanks. Good choice.
Yeah, not even a question, just praise.
The gentleman standing and waving.
My daughter would like to ask a question.
Oh, all right.
Just being a good dad.
Hey, brother, I can appreciate that.
Okay, so I have a question for you guys. When we see throughout the season Sam and Dean and the way that they cope with certain things, Dean drinking his face off and wanting to talk about it. And Dean coming close to punching his face. How do you guys cope with certain situations?
How do we feel in the situation? What we need
How
to
do we cope with certain
Yeah,
situations?
how do you cope with like bad situations?
Very similar to Dean.
And I find that pretty similar. Yeah. It's a bike containing art or what?
No, that's an easy answer. Coping with certain situations, I don't know, it really depends on the gravity of the situation. It's, I think Jared and I are very similar in the fact that we internalize a lot, as I think most
Actors.
and most men do.
I keep going.
So I would imagine that there's probably a lot of self-evaluating and dealing with it internally as opposed to sharing, and speaking openly about it. That being said, however it navigates itself through our internalization is generally dependent on circumstances. Whether or not that's, I'm going to forget about it and just go out and have a drink with my buddies, or I'm just going to sit at home and prepare myself into a script. I would say that work and family are a really nice outlet for both of us, in the fact that they are distractions from any real life drama that we're having to deal with, because there's enough drama within the two of those things that fill up our slate. So yeah, luckily Jared and I don't have to deal with, a lot of stuff that requires us to drink heavily. We would rather do that in celebratory moments.
We don't want to be required, we want to be suggested.
Yeah. So I will say that neither of us are damaging. We're pretty smart about how we deal with things. We're not, I haven't talked about myself yet, so
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
It was a learning process for me too. I think I grew up in such a way. I grew up in the South where you don't really air your dirty laundry a lot. It can be. The best part of the South, when I speak of the South, is people are kind and comforting, but you often are kind of, especially as a man in the South, you're often told to bear the burden yourself. And my wife, thank God, kind of pulled that out of me. And it was a process of me growing up and realizing that these things don't go away, they're not dealt with, and it felt so good to just say it. If I was upset with somebody for something, she was really good at this. She was like, listen, I love you, but I can't read your mind, I'm sorry. So if there's something going on, you gotta tell me. And if I disagree, I'll tell you. If I agree, I'll tell you. But don't just sit there and put it in, because one day it will come out. And it'll probably, unfortunately, come out the wrong way. So I do, like Sam, believe in kind of airing it. Not to tweet like, guess what's my problem today? A million people. But certainly the
Oh, sure, yeah, wave that over my head.
And that's my problem with American Airlines. And I'm happy to tweet it to the
I want to bring it back to the show real quick, in that if there are issues that we deal with related to the show or work environment or work situation or something, he and I have a really good relationship in the fact that we really hash it out together. And if something bothering or there's an issue that needs to be talked out or discussed, then he and I will, we have a thing to say, a family meeting. And that means get together in the trailer and discuss whatever it is that he's discussing. And so we're really good about that, kind of keeping each other on the same page with whatever issues regarding the show or even personal life. But yeah, family meetings happen probably once every 2 or 3 weeks.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, I enjoy you guys so much.
Thanks.
Let's pick it up over here. Ryan, third row, third column.
There's not one column in this whole place.
It struck me as something to say. It was this way, right?
We'll talk about that later.
Okay,
Matt,
my question is, I've seen all like the giant cutouts of you guys, and I was just kind of wondering what your opinion on those are.
the giant cutout?
Yeah, like that, there's like 6 feet tall cutouts.
That's not giant.
Do you need a miniature cutouts almost? Do you need a scaled back version?
Yes. The paper ones. Then just like, do you guys own them, or do you know anyone that
Yes, we make
I don't
it.
hit. Yeah.
I can't honestly say that I've seen one.
I've never seen it. If I did ever see one though, I would use it a la Home Alone, where it's on a thing. And it moves. And I go like somebody's home. All I can think of is the football ones. Isn't Clay Matthews in that commercial where he like runs through a wall?
Yeah, those are fat heads. Those are like big wall stickers.
The big head.
Yeah, not gargantuan head, fat head.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I've seen, somebody, a friend of mine in New York sent me a picture of one in the store.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Yeah, they're like, it was just at a store in the mall, and she texted me with a picture of it. She's like, stop following me. And I was like, where are you, and what is that doing there?
And please buy it and send it to me.
Yeah, so I have not seen one out yet, but I had somebody in New York send me a picture.
Yeah, I've never seen one in the wild. I'll keep my eye on it. Thank you.
Sorry, the gentleman. Yeah.
Okay, if Impalas didn't exist, what car would you choose to drive?
That's a really, really tough question.
It's a tough question. My favorite car, my daddy's favorite car when I was growing up has sort of become my favorite car. I don't know if it's because it's my favorite car or not, but the second generation Corvette has always been my favorite car. I love it. It's an amazing vehicle. I love Chevy and the Chevy guy. However, you can't hide weapons or dead bodies. So, it would need to be like an old Buick or something. It would need to be like some old souped up, or maybe like a Hemi Cuda, maybe a 1970 Hemi Cuda.
Sweet.
Even the purple one, but yeah, like classic. But something that's big enough to have dead bodies and powerful enough to leave your ass in the dust at a stoplight.
That's funny, I instantly thought of like a really like a nice old Nova. But then I'm like, but that's not small enough, so it might need to be like a Barracuda or something like that.
Sweet.
No.
What's that?
340 Dart Swinger.
A Dart Swinger?
Or the new Prius. It's great on that.
Yes. 570 miles to the gallon.
Yeah, we wouldn't need to stop at gas stations anymore. After that one number of like walking to a gas station, everybody's dead.
It'd be like a commercial, we'd like cruise into a gas station, get out, go get some chips and a Coke, and then get back in and just keep going.
Yeah, we'd be going to like Indiana to do a case. We'd stop. Like, okay, here we are, stuck on the fed suits. And Dean would be like, we still got 200 miles left. Let's go, hell yeah. See how far we can go.
That'll never happen.
Right here.
I have a directing question. First, how was
That's not for me. She was a directing question.
one was how was directing this time for Jensen, and when's Jared going to direct?
Say it one more time.
I was directing this time work.
How was directing for me, and when is... why don't you answer the first question?
About Jared directing or Jensen directing?
Answer the second part of the question.
Look at him directing me. Jeez. No, you know what? I just am not interested in directing, or I am interested in it, but I am not in this arena interested in directing. For whatever reason, though I find it interesting, I'm not so passionate about it that I'm willing to get out of it.
He also
Being like
watches.
Boston.
He also watches what happens to me during my episode. He's like, no, thank you.
I feel like, and inevitably, and this is probably cheesy, but when he directs, he's usually leaving his summer vacation earlier, and I'm usually about 10 pounds overweight and sunburned. So I'm like, oh shit, shoot. I better hit the treadmill for the next 2 weeks so I can fit back into Sam's clothing, because I've been usually hanging out in Austin, Texas with barbecue and drinking beers live. So, yeah. So for me, maybe someday, wrestling else, but I don't think I'll do wrestling.
It was, and I said this before, the more I direct, the harder it gets. And that might sound contradictory because you think the more you do, the easier it is. But I'd say the more that I do it, the more knowledge I accumulate. And the more that you know, it kind of
The more you know, you don't know.
the more you know, you don't know, or the more questions and the more, it feels like the more I know about what I need to be doing, the longer the hurdles get. So I think in the beginning it was a little bit of ignorance is bliss. And now that I know, it's really technical. Like the technical aspects of it are kind of challenging things. It's like, okay, well, I know I can shoot this, but now I should really think about using long lenses instead of short lenses. And I should think about, depth of field. I should think about, the composition as opposed to just the blocking and then take all that and be like, okay, now how can I shoot this efficiently in a way that can still make my 12-hour day? And so instead of having the blocking go in a plus sign, just keep it going one lateral movement. And that way I can just keep the cameras going this way, just have one turning on going this way as opposed to 4 directions this way. So it's a lot of that kind of stuff that kind of rattles around my brain. And I also really took to heart, and I said this before, what Kim Manners told me many years ago when he said, "You're going to direct one day." I said, "No, I'm not." And he's like, he's got to have 3 words of advice for you: homework. He said, "You show up, you got homework, you have a roadmap, then you'll find your destination." And so I do. I show up day 1 with 8 days of roadmap laid out. And in order to do that, I have to kill myself during prep. So I prep crazy, which is why they allow me to do the episode first. Because if I was trying to prep an episode while also acting in an episode at the same time, my head would explode. Yeah. So I will say that this particular episode that I directed was challenging for different reasons, and the fact that it was the first time that I was playing human being. So what you saw in the premiere, that was the second episode that I shot as human being. So I had to think about how do I want to create this character, and then I had to forget about that and focus on how I was going to shoot the character. And so there was a lot of,
And also how you can say I'm too sexy. So you walk around directing and saying,
and then worrying about having to do that in the next episode. But it's, again, for some reason I'm a glutton for punishment, and I feel like at the end of every directing episode I'm exhausted, and I'm wondering why am I doing this? And I think that's the reason that I do it, is because it's so discomforting, so challenging, and it stretches me, and it's not, there are joyful parts of it, but it's such a challenge that by the end of it, I'm like, you know what, I did it, and I got through it, I made it. To me, that's gratifying. Thanks.
You guys have been building this chemistry for the past 10 seasons, working together on all episodes. How is it like to work episodes when you're not together? Like the first episode, it was all about Dean, all about Sam, it was not together. So how do you guys work it out, or like how does it feel not having the other one next to you to like prank?
they are weird. I know what you're asking. They are, it's weird to do it. Remember Misha, the director? I think we had one scene with each other in an episode. Go, hey, what's up? I haven't seen you in 2 weeks. What's going on? I don't know. What are you doing? All right, see you later.
There's most certainly a comfort level that exists when he and I are working together as normal Sam and Dean.
Are Sam and Dean ever normal?
You have to take that into account, because we're not always normal Sam and Dean. There's Bizarro Sam, there's Soulless Sam, there's whatever Sam, Demon Dean, blah, 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 the list goes on. So, yes, there's a certain amount of comfort that comes with he and I working together and being in that, and which has been really nice because we've had that list. Not that, spoiler alert, but, and then when it doesn't exist, then then it's just, the great thing is with the show, we've got a good rapport with Misha, we've got a good rapport with Mark, we've got, a lot of people that come on the show. It's a really good working environment. I think a lot of guest stars would agree with me in saying that it's a cool place to play. And we like to make it that way, keep it that way, and do whatever we can to preserve that. So when people come on, it's, like we just had an episode where we had Kim Rose and we had somebody else who I won't mentioned just yet, I'm sure you probably know, but, yeah, and it was so much fun. It was actually, I think they had more fun than Jared and I. But we really appreciate that kind of environment, and so even when he and I are not working together, it's still enjoyable, and we still have a good time.
Yeah, I second that. Take it back over here. Yes, with the pointing in the hands. Standing.
No, not you.
First of all, welcome to Toronto.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Thank you.
What is something a family's ever done that made you really proud of the SPN family?
Oh,
That you ever heard of?
a lot. That I heard of?
Yeah, or seen?
I've seen a lot.
Charity. The charity.
The charity,
The generosity and charity that
Yeah.
you guys have provided, not just for us, but for, so many other people, especially through Misha's organization and stuff, has been inspiring.
definitely cool. And many things, I love to take as much time as possible to read the letters that are written to me or Jensen or to us as a Chicago family. And a lot of it's so, I'm a fan of things, probably not TV shows as much because I'm too busy working in TV to let myself in. I like Shark Tank. That's not gonna lie changing, but say music, certain bands, and like Pearl Jam, I just saw it. Awesome. And if I were to ever be told, like, hey Jared, write a letter to Eddie Vedder, just explaining what I would probably write to him, is so similar to what sometimes is written to me, but it's just humbling. Just a thank you, and you've been a part of my life. Today I was this morning, I tried to run off dinner last night, and I was in the gym, and I was getting some water, and this lady started talking to me about my headphones were on.